security.
Where are we going here, Charles? How is this going to work?
Here, Premier, why don't you sit over here?
Well, I think...
There, go ahead.
Oh, you got it pointed up here, yes.
Have a seat right there, the big cheese. Listen, I was telling, how you doing?
I'm all right, you?
Good. I was telling the call that I'm nervous.
Are you really? When does that start?
That's what I want to know. That's
You're
not
nervous,
good.
wow.
I don't know. Why? Why am I nervous?
Like, good question. Maybe I'm the one who should be nervous.
I know. And you should.
I'm not nervous, I'm feeling all right.
That's okay. We'll give it a shot.
I did hear you voted green though, that hurts.
We'll get to that in a second. Okay, as usual. There you go. Joyeux Noël. Merry
Thank
Christmas. One for you, one for me. Okay.
There you go. Can't ever have enough chocolate milk.
Yeah. And then you have, there you go. Now you've got People Alliance, Color. You've got Liberals.
Well, that's good.
You have the Conservatives. You
Look
have
at
People
that.
Alliance. Where is it? I knew I should have brought scissors, but see, it opens so good. I thought Dollarama was cheap.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I told you I was nervous. Yeah. Which color you want?
Oh, well, I'd have to pick blue, wouldn't I?
You want blue?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll take green because
I know,
Quinn,
yes.
because David Quinn is my MLA, so I'll take green.
Okay, yeah.
So, how we doing?
We're good so far. You still nervous?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know why.
How are we going to do this and still have,
I don't know. Calm
Oh,
down.
actually, just 1 second, if you don't mind.
What's that?
We're just gonna, just with COVID and everything.
okay.
There's no cyanide in that. Don't worry about it. If you want to drink mine, just
No,
like
no, we're good.
just like in the bars, you want to have my drink first.
Straws too?
Do you want one too?
No,
Do you
I'm
want-
all right. We're old fashioned, my God. Okay, so enjoy it. And enjoy it. It's safe. No worry. There's so much Corona. Okay. This is my first sit down I had with you since you won a majority. First time.
Cheers.
We could do that. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Here. Show the bastard product.
Oh,
There. Put it. Here. Come on. Touch it. There. Cheers. Okay. Listen. I want to apologize on behalf of what I call idiot people that were protesting in front of your house.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing.
What was that all about?
Anti-maskers.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
I don't come into my house.
Isn't that crossing? Well, how did you feel about that?
Well, I was disappointed, Charles. I think that, there have to be some things that are off limit, and I think where somebody lives, their personal home, that it's unfortunate that people feel that they can come. I mean, they were peaceful and all, but it's just if they want to come to my office or in the legislature or wherever. I mean, we have a society that respects the right to protest, but I think it goes across the line when you do it in front of your personal home.
When did you first find out?
Oh, the night before. Yeah, there was some social media about the event happening, and then it became known, and so then I was contacted and said that it looked like there was going to be an event in front of my house.
Wife nervous about that?
Well, no, I mean, not really. I mean, it was, as I say, it was peaceful, and there was I wouldn't say that there was a lot of support. I mean, judging by cars going by and such, and people that were trying to just be out for a walk, they weren't real impressed.
I think it was disgusting, but I don't know where they get the news from. Myself, my sister's a family doctor, and right now she's in England, and they're scared, excuse my language, shitless, because everybody's dropping dead around them.
Oh, yeah.
They're right near London, and they can't understand. I mean, why would somebody not wear a mask?
It's hard to believe, really, and because it is real and it is happening all around us, and let's. I am very concerned about the next few weeks, going through Christmas and New Year's, and people taking liberties that we shouldn't right now. I know they're feeling good. We're all feeling good about a vaccine starting to roll out, but we're a long ways from being any sort of security around people being vaccinated by numbers. And
Doing good. Okay, during the election, before the election, I was angry with you. A lot of people say, well, Higgs will not sit down with you again, because I was so angry that you would call an election. We had this conversation over the picnic table. And then I said, some people look at you and said, my God, like these interviews we do, they look at me, they say, I never seen Mr. Higgs smile. I never seen him laugh like we do here. But over the crisis, everybody was looking at you and calling you, what do you call you? Oh yeah, a human being. Like you showed the real feeling.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a transformation. You know, I've always had real feelings, but
You know that.
but it was a very sensitive time with so many people's health at stake, and how do we best manage that? And I think as a province so far, we've shown how good we can be, Charles, and I'm excited about that.
So what I said, I told Paul Daou, I said, this is like calling an election. I said, this is like Hitler. They said, you compare Higgs to Hitler? I said, no. I said, hold it. Hitler was very charming when he first got elected, then he turned into the biggest in the world. But I said, he's charming, but then he's using that as an advantage. So I said, I won't have no sit down with him if he wins. Here I am sitting down with you. What does that?
We all do things that we one time maybe thought we wouldn't, because it's how we evolved. But I think the point during the election is that we had a situation that our COVID numbers were good, as you know. The election went off well with not only the outcome, but in terms of how we were very careful. We followed all the rules. We didn't go door to door, and it gave us stability in the province because, as you know, the Liberals have one goal in life, and that is to replace me.
We'll get to that in 1 second. Now you turn around. Now does that make me a liar or a politician?
Easy now.
So
there's no easy answer to that, is there?
no, there's not. But no, the public relations skills. That's it showed you were human, and the Liberals. It was anyway. Like I told you, I'm nervous. I don't know why. Listen, I got to give you some credit. I hate that.
No, well, let me just save a moment, okay? Do you want to repeat that?
I'm going to give you some credit.
All right.
I hate this because since I haven't been able to sit down with you, there's a few issues that I was going to talk to you about and say, listen, I hope you don't do this. But you give the other parties in the legislature time for them to ask questions during question period.
They're all official party status.
You didn't have to do that.
I didn't.
No. I said Higgs is going to go. Boom!
There you go. See?
I was wrong.
Well, it was the right thing to do, especially now, especially where we had gone through the COVID experience together and still are working together as a COVID committee. So I think it made sense. We had developed a good relationship through this, and it made sense to give them the time that they can use in the legislature.
Good for you. You did good. But really, let's be honest here. You won with a majority. But did you really win a majority? You don't have the support up north. You can't go hardcore decisions without.
Well, it's disappointing, Charles, that the support is not geographically representative of the entire province. It's numerically representative, but not geographically. And I guess I do offer a different approach here, because I'm not taking a political position on the province. I'm taking one that is basically how can we find better ways to work together. And in this COVID experience, which I often draw on as an example, we saw unprecedented cooperation between, from different disciplines across the province, but particularly related to our health authorities. Vitality and Horizon worked as one. And they just said, we're going to manage this no matter where our facility is. We're working together with making decisions together. And so when I saw how good that worked, I was saying, okay, how do we raise the bar now in our delivery of services, no matter which Vitality Hospital or Horizon Hospital? How do we say, as an example, okay, well, in Fredericton here or St. John or Moncton, wherever, you got this backlog of maybe to get in to see a specialist or to get a procedure done. But wow, you may be 6 months here, but you could go to this hospital in Bathurst, as an example, and you could get in next week.
But the Liberals are calling you, and they're brainwashing the Acadian. If you were anti-French, trust me, I would definitely, I don't think
I
I would
expect you to
be.
bring it up long ago.
You're not, yeah, exactly, and you're not anti-francophone, but the liberals are playing
Well, of course they are.
politics.
Charles, it has been their strength to have a division in our province based on language lines. The Liberals play to that strength because it's a vote base that they can take for granted.
Listen,
And it's unfortunate.
It is.
Extremely unfortunate.
It is. And you're not anti-francophone. You might be something, but I feel sorry for Daniel Alain. He's going to be like Jimmy Carter. He's going to age about 100 years.
Why? He's doing all right.
He's doing all right. You wait till boom, then there's going to be whoa. Listen, I got to ask you a question. Now, I know knowing you that you don't forget people that goes after you. You don't forget.
Well, what?
What about Wetmore and Jeff Carr and Jake Stewart? But I was there with you when you won the leadership. I'm the only one that was filming you around.
You were there.
And I predicted that you were going to win. They didn't support you during the leadership. Is that why they're not in the cabinet?
No, if that had been a situation, Charles, that would have been something at the beginning, not during this phase. So the whole cabinet decision process, it isn't easy, and people think it is. It's not. I mean, I'm trying very hard to have our team act as one, even though some are in cabinet, some aren't, because we need everyone to be working together here now, just as we've seen in other parts of the province where they talk about the COVID. So it isn't that. No, I wasn't looking to go back and score any points, or this is not a vindictive in any way. It's a process that I go through, and I analyze. Okay, what do I think I'm going to need for the next team? And that doesn't mean it's forever either.
We know that.
You know that.
You got a majority now, 4
Yeah, but
years.
you know that cabinet decisions and cabinet are in cabinet
shuffle.
for a while. The shuffles that happen, and so I hope none of them exclude themselves from a future potential.
And you stand your ground, and you did with the cabinet minister. What's her name? Dunn.
Oh, with
What's her
Minister
name?
Dunn, Arlene?
Yeah.
Arlene?
When they said that we want her to resign, and you say, hey. And,
Yeah, no.
She just started.
She just started.
Come on, give her a break.
And I'm very pleased that she's meeting, she's working with the First Nations on that file, as well as the economic development file, which the two I think are
Will you
aligned.
cut me off? I'm praising him again. Do your job. Okay. Now it's coming soon
She
enough.
is.
It's coming soon enough. Boom. Listen, the rent is going up. People are buying buildings. They're putting the rent up. Families are on the streets. What are you going to do about it?
Well,
You're some kind of a Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, well, we are looking into that, Charles. Our stats show that it's not as serious and widespread as we've been led to believe, but we are looking at individual cases to see where is this a problem and what examples do we have, and so we get involved. And we see people aren't being evicted or people aren't being put out of their homes because they don't have a proper home or the rent has changed so dramatically that it makes a difference. Now there's a process, as we've had the complaints that some of the landlords, weren't investing in the properties, they weren't looking after them, taking them up. So you try to balance that and say, okay, you want people to invest in their properties. Well, there has to be a reasonable balance, not 30% change overnight in someone's rent.
You were the finance minister with David Alward. Poor David. If you want to listen to me about shale gas, you'll still be premier. You were strict. Everything was there, cent by cent. Everything went through you. But then again, you found out David Alward had a voice. Now you're premier.
So who knows what's going around me?
Who knows what's exactly? And that's exactly what I want to ask here. How it's not good, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Why is the former press secretary of the Lieutenant Governor, Tim Richardson, how did he escape your eyes? He stole close to $1 million, then he took his own life, and how did that happen?
Well, not that anyone sees everything. In that particular case, that office is not necessarily scrutinized by the provincial government, but that doesn't, I won't necessarily use that as any sort of because there are lots of things happen, Charles, that if someone is taking advantage of the system, holes can be found or weaknesses in the structure. So unfortunately, there was certainly a weakness that carried on for some time. in how the money was being accounted for and how it was being scrutinized. So I'll make no excuses about that. It was unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that someone takes advantage of a situation, but I'm sure it's not the only case. If one
Is there a lot of Tim Richardsons around that you don't know of?
I should hope not. I should hope that we don't have other cases like that, but I guess it wouldn't be, it might be naive to think that there aren't other areas of say, abuse of the system. And but I think with everything like that, you get a little sharper, you get a little more scrutiny, and pay a little more attention.
Is there more investigation on how he managed to do that, or is it the media's not answering any questions?
Well, it's not something that is being done, and the new system protocols being put in place of how it's managed and who oversees the operation, because it is certainly very much becomes a federal jurisdiction and how that's all managed.
Now we have the court system where prisoners are arrested, home, and they go in the provincial jail. They put a camera in front of them. There's no more face-to-face in court. Now, they say they had this because of the corona. Is that going to become the new norm?
I think there's parts of it that should be. Yeah. I mean, I guess the judicial system will decide, but for me, a lot of effort is placed in transportation just to have the arraignment, and you'd say, well, why would if we transportation and security and taking police officers out of the system in order to move people around? If you can do that virtually for the initial phases, I mean, it'll be as I say, the legal folks that will decide this, but I think it should be like that.
I'll discuss that with you later, or whatever, next time. Crystal Meth, do you have any scientists in this province?
I would say we do, yes.
So if you got a scientist that could find, like a methadone, a cure for people for crystal meth, this province could pay the whole debt for 50 years.
Well, it seems that the cure for drug abuse and addiction is hard to be found, isn't it? I don't know if you say a cure, maybe a substance controller.
Yeah,
like
there's
methadone.
nothing right now.
But it is a major issue for our young people in the province. Crystal meth and what it leads to in terms of violence and very, very erratic behavior. And we've heard it from the nurses union in relation to the aggression in the emergency rooms or in the hospitals on someone who's on crystal meth. So we've got a kind of a series. So we're doing the mental health and the quick addiction connection, so that we actually have people that can get help when they need it, and so that's both for mental health and addiction services. Through to crisis management when a situation evolves to get a better handle, so it's controlled, and through to enforcement, so that we actually start cracking down on this.
Have another sip that you don't dry your throat. A fan of yours and a fan of mine asked me to ask you one question. You promised during the election to open mental health clinics to mark waiting period shorter.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you got an answer for that?
Well, it's happening. I know that clinics have been identified. There's an ability to connect with current clinics that are all over the province. Pilot projects are now underway in St. John, and I believe in a couple other locations to roll out in the new year. But they are going to be rolling out in the new year, probably the first 6 months.
Okay, good. Tourist Avenue, did it go up from this year from last year?
Well, should I say go up from? It went up dramatically with our rebate program. We spent about 17 million. You said tourism, right?
Yeah.
17 million was spent in the province when the rebate program was introduced, and those people traveling around the province and looking at New Brunswick for the first time. We're doing a winter program as well because of the success in the first through the summer and fall. And but if I said did it go up to last year, did people in New Brunswick see more in New Brunswick this year? Absolutely, by far.
You know where the Bucket Club is? The Bucket Club?
Yeah.
The trailer park?
Yeah.
The owner told me that they were worried when the corona started.
Yeah.
And I saw them the year when they finished.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they never see so many people, New Brunswickers.
New Brunswick.
And they all rent for next year.
That's right.
So that's what you want to say,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We got people to look at New Brunswick because they couldn't get out of New Brunswick. And now they want to stay in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
So what great deal that is, eh?
It's a good place. See, you're starting to don't look at her, you're starting to get the ice. I got you guys trained pretty damn good. Okay, why not call the minister, look at me. Why not How come you didn't call the municipal election with the provincial election? Why we had to wait?
Well, because we weren't in a position, I mean, we're looking at a provincial election, 49 seats. If we would have tried to multiply that with all of the municipalities around the province, when we were deciding, okay, can we run a provincial election safely? Can we, and we talked to Elections Brunswick about that and what it would take to do that. It would have been on our first election in the pandemic and the first one to see in the country to do that. It would have been too much to go too quickly.
Did everybody have the right to vote? You mentioned the election in New Brunswick, and I tried to get some answers. I couldn't. Did everybody voted? Did the system work, or were there some that?
Well, I think it worked very good.
Yeah, of course you did. Okay. See, take Charles, take. Permanent immigrants to vote. Would you support that?
Well, we're going to look into that. You know, it was something that you couldn't bring in and pass in 2 days. I mean, you need to understand, we've had the right to vote for Canadian citizens. It's been the established norm for a long time. So I do think it is something we should pursue. But I wanted to say, okay, well, let's understand the impact. Why hasn't this been adopted across the country? And let's have that impact. So now we have time. It wasn't the right thing to just bring it in, pass it in 3 days. It needed to have more evaluation than that, and that's what we committed to do.
30 seconds. Abortion. Okay, we know that if they had another abortion clinic down Woodstock Road, let's say, or whatever, the old Victoria Hospital, bang. Would it change your mind just because not this building here, but that was where it all started? If it was somewhere else, or even at the Fredericton Hospital, would they have one there?
Well, what we've said is that the health authorities have the obligation to ensure that the access is provided. And that's basically what was passed in the legislature was just that. It is the regional health authority's responsibility, and they shouldn't be putting off on the private sector, because we don't fund the private sector clinic, and that's been our principal position right from the beginning. So I think what was passed is very direct, that the regional health authorities need to provide the access according to the law. And I anticipate they will evaluate the access requirements and make the necessary changes.
So what do you think? Nursing homes. Now, you went before, there've been trouble, service development, the protest, the QP been screaming and hollering, but then came Corona. Now, are you still pissed off at the way QP acted? And if you give in to treat these old people, like us, with respect, that you're going to satisfy QP, and you don't want to do that? And is there any update about how we're going to treat the nursing home, the citizen, with respect?
Well, I mean, I think that in New Brunswick, I mean, our nursing homes and our elderly care or senior care facilities, adult care facilities, have managed very well. And I would think that if anywhere in the country, the treatment has been certainly not only with respect, but with the outcomes that have been enviable around the world.
It's been like this for 50 years.
It's great. I mean,
but it's not great.
They've done a super job.
It's not great the way the old citizens are treated in the seniors' home.
Well, I guess we're always open to say what can we do differently, but we must be, because we know how difficult it is to find staffing and do the right thing. With the numbers, because I know there'd be difference of opinion of how many people do we need and what kind of services can we provide. And that's why, Charles, I have said to every group, help me deliver a better service with what we have and how we can adapt to changes, because we can't get people.
Is that what the project was all about?
The project is,
what was that all about?
I understand the project was simply saying, how do we put more people working at a time when they're actually needed? With the staff that we have, because staffing is a problem. So the idea was that, okay, I can have more resources working in the morning and noon and in the early afternoon, whatever, and I have less resources from midnight till 6 or 8 in the morning, because that's not the busy time. That was the logic behind the pilot. So I haven't seen any report of how well that worked and what the issues were. But I think that to say that we'll never do a pilot again, or we just won't look, that's not going to help us in the long run. We have to figure out how we can do things differently, because we must.
You know what really pisses me off? When you, besides you speaking French,
Hey,
how's that
I've
going?
had some great compliments on my.
Ça va bien? Comment que ton français? Bien?
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. I don't want to hear it. Okay, we promised that before. That's a promise between me and you. And some people will get upset that I say, you should allow the Premier to speak le français. Like, we had this conversation. There's different French in different areas.
There certainly is.
And it certainly is. Look at the eyes. Yeah, he did look at you. Look, we're almost done.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, we're down to the last
Yeah,
minute.
so next thing you know, one thing that pissed me off is when you see Roger Melanson, the Liberal leader, intern leader at the House, and telling you that the Conservatives don't care about the most vulnerable people. But then they're the same one that were laughing when prisoners were forced to walk home. And they were laughing at that.
You
It
can, go,
was-
you can go back, Charles, in
Yeah.
history, can't you, of the political world, and always find a position that changed when you went in opposition versus when you're in government. I mean, it's historic, and I don't think anyone can reverse themselves faster than the Liberals.
No, I mean, it's terrible. I don't like the Liberals. I don't like their style. I mean, it pisses me off. Am I praising you again? Okay. Black Lives Matter.
You'll vote PC next time.
Have some more chocolate. Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
How come, I don't want to sound like, Black Lives Matter, the blacks that's been here were born here. And they were grow up for the last 20 years, 30 years. And now you got people arriving from other countries that says Black Lives Matter, but they've only been here about 5 years. But how do you take all that? You got 30 seconds.
Well, I think what we see now is a new, and rightfully so, interest in that we have an equitable system across the province. And so when we talked about systemic racism, Charles, it was, and we recognized the issue that First Nations are bringing forward, but it's not just First Nations, it's other races as well. And so our focus was, we can lead this in the country, but we need federal participation here, because systemic racism is a problem all across in every province.
Yeah.
And Black Lives Matter is another example
Yeah.
of racism that just should not exist in today's day and age.
What do the native want? He's saying, I could read mind. Where do you want me to start? No, I mean, what do they want in the justice system? Like, I don't want to sound like a racist, but I'm a white person. I'm on welfare, not proud of it. That's the way it is. And the poor people are not treated good in the court system. We're not allowed to have a lawyer, stuff like that. How come they don't study the whole problem?
Well, I think that was our point, is it's more than any one particular group. However, on that particular issue of justice, we have a number of recommendations, and that was the argument all along. They already exist, the recommendations. Some provinces are farther ahead than others. And we can implement some of these changes that are already well-known, well understood, and even have some areas that are doing it, so we can learn from that. So that's what we're focused on. And the Minister Dunn is having those meetings with First Nations to review changes to the justice system, which I would say will ultimately benefit other racial groups as well.
And us, the poor people, we're not treated right. Like I just told you, the camera in front of your face in the cell, and you don't see human contact or summary conviction. You don't have the right to a lawyer. You know the whole thing there, and it's the whole system that has to be. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a bigger system, but I do think there's a balance there in terms of the virtual representation, and then how we have the right representation to go with it.
How come New Brunswick, we're a poor, almost done. We're pretty poor. How come every time somebody farts, they want an inquiry?
Well, I guess I don't know if it happens every time in that situation, but it
Don't you love these blog-
my contention through this was we have over 100 recommendations or more of past inquiries or investigations that have not been reacted to. And so rather than spend the next 2 or 3 years having another one that will produce a whole bunch more recommendations, many of them could be duplications of what we already know, let's fix what we know and then decide what more needs to be done.
We have the New Brunswick Human Rights Commission, but I mean, they don't they don't really represent every stage of human rights. How come we don't eliminate the New
Well, you
Brunswick
say
Human
that,
Rights?
I don't know, that is their job.
I know, that's another story. But I mean, like I said, prisoners walking home from provincial jail, they went to Human Rights Commission. They wouldn't even, no, we can't, you know,
Yeah, I
like,
recall that issue. I don't know, I don't recall the particulars around it, but I can recall.
There should be a
it didn't seem
commission.
right at the time. You're sorry.
somewhere you could go if you got problem with the police. I know the police commission, but the police act, that's another story. There's so many issues. Why do I get involved with these things anyway? Okay, speaking of angry, have you met Trump?
No.
You never did? What's the closest you came to Trump?
Well, I never was in the same place that he was at the same time. I mean, I met some officials in his government in Washington when we were there on the softwood lumber file, but
Who did
certainly
you
never
meet?
saw him.
Who did you meet in his cabinet there?
No, I didn't. It wasn't in
Nobody?
his cabinet. There were folks that were part of the U.S. Trade and Commerce group that were representing the government in relation to the trade negotiations.
What was your prediction?
Well, I figured I mean, an election?
Yeah. I haven't seen
Oh,
you.
I felt it was going to be really close. I really did. I mean, it
What?
wasn't going to be any blowout. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout.
I thought it'd be done after half an hour.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. If you think back, it was for us. I mean, the softwood lumber agreement was recognized like 2 or 3 days after the election. So I don't know if that was an outcome of the election or not, but we'll take it because we couldn't get any traction with the Trump administration. And it seemed like trade regulations, trade rules were being ignored, and you can't have your largest trading partner just ignoring the fact that you exist.
I was shocked he got 75,000 votes. 75 million votes. 75,000, yeah.
It was amazing, wasn't it? I mean, that was, well, what was the closest election, wasn't it, in
Yeah.
U.S. history? Was it?
Was it? No, Gore. Gore.
That was the closest?
George Bush.
But this one had the most votes for a president,
most
and
votes.
Biden had the most, so the two records were broken.
What does that tell us as a human being? 75 million votes.
Well, I think it tells you that there's a lot of unrest in the democratic world, and the U.S. have certainly been in that situation. But I think it says that we need to do a better job of connecting with people so that we're not letting issues fester. We're actually dealing with issues. And that's part of the way I feel about what are some of the fundamental things that we can work on as a province. And I think COVID has given us that ability to say, wow, that really worked well. Let's, in terms of working together, what else can we do?
So you got 75 million people voted for Trump. And the attitude, is that why they were protesting in front of your house? The same attitude?
No. I don't know if those are Trump supporters or not. I really wasn't talking to them.
Two more. Do me a favor.
Charles, one more. We have to go.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, almost done. There's just one more here. Do me a favor. What really gets me upset is the next holiday, not Christmas, in February. You know what the holiday's called?
Oh, the day off, or the work day that we're off. Yeah.
What's it called?
Not Labor Day, it's called Family Day.
Yeah. And I think Brian Gallant, just political, family. I think that's so disgusting to name it Family Day when there's after the holidays, people are depressed, people are down, and then there's February, Family Day. And I think that's sad. I know you're human, we found this out after this coronavirus. Maybe you should change the name into something that won't depress people.
So Family Day, you think's depressing?
Yes, because some people lost families, some people don't have.
Well, we had eight fatalities.
Yeah, and some people don't have families,
Thus
and
far.
some people are depressed. And I think suicides go up, but that's my opinion.
So would you say the same thing about the Christmas period?
No, Christmas is Christmas, but to have just a provincial holiday and name it Family Day in February,
What would you call it?
I would call it, what would you call it, Nicole?
I liked Family Day.
You like family?
I
three
like
kids,
Family
but it's
Day.
not everybody that has families.
But you have extended families, you still have another
Yeah,
family.
but there's
Your
some
friends
people
can be
that
your
don't.
family, right?
Yeah.
I think that we make
Yeah,
that.
but there's a lot of people that
I
don't.
understand.
I know me. Oh yeah, there's no problem. But it's a name that I never liked. Okay, we're
What
done.
about daylight savings time? What about fixing that?
Isn't that stupid?
Last
One province. No,
Yeah.
hey, he wants to talk. Leave him alone. He turned around. Don't every province has to agree.
Well, you'd like to have certainly like Quebec and Ontario and then the Atlantic provinces.
Yeah, but you can't change it and,
Well, I wouldn't change it without having alignment, that's right.
how do you do that?
Well, we can change it, but,
Really?
yeah, we can.
I didn't know that.
But it wouldn't, it really, we'd like to have alignment. If we can get the Atlantic provinces all on the side, and then Quebec and Ontario go for it, then maybe we can do something there.
Okay, listen, this is all yours. 2021, what's gonna happen? It's all yours. I'm done.
Well, Charles, let's hope that next
for
year.
my 5 viewers.
All right, so next year at this time, we'll have the majority of people vaccinated, and COVID will be a thing of the past, a distant memory, and we'll be thinking of that we were able to get through this Christmas period, and we didn't see a spike in cases, so New Brunswick came back well, and we're now operating at better than the previous year's performance, and we're starting to grow as a population. And we're seeing that the experience that we've gained through COVID has actually been one that has put New Brunswick on the map, and it's real. And people are looking at New Brunswick and saying, wow, I'd like to go to New Brunswick, I'd like to live there. Because we now have heard more about them, we now realize that it's not the province that we had read about before, year 2 or 3 or 4, it was a province that was on the move and gained great momentum through COVID.
Are you gonna stop your FaceTime?
Am I going to stop?
Your FaceTime?
Not necessarily. Why?
Interviews, FaceTime.
No, I don't think so.
Don't you like this better?
Well, I like the interaction in any case, but I do think that it's set up a new world of interaction because my colleagues, we can all be online, and it's worked out quite well.
Stop looking at her. Right quick, the Forestry Act. Are you going
We said last
to increase the Forestry Act?
Well, we were doing that with the conservation land.
Are you going to increase the clear cutting, or
Increase the clear cutting? No, heavens, we're increasing the conservation lands.
you are?
Yes, doubling it.
So Mike Holden's going to explain to me what's going on.
Yes, he will indeed.
Okay, you enjoy your chocolate milk.
All right, Charles, and thank you again, and all the best in the new year too.
I finished my new year praising you. I mean, I gotta
That's good. You should keep that up. You should make that New Year's resolution.
maybe I should be nervous. Maybe I should be nervous more often.
Maybe. Yes, you're in better behavior when you're nervous.